We have quite a few news headlines to actually talk about today in the NASCAR world. A few big ones. Well, actually, they're really all big, or could end up being big depending on the situation. But Tony Stewart is back in the NASCAR Cup car. He's not like running races or anything, but he ran some test laps at Circuit of Americas. M&M's, Mars Candy signed on a deal with NASCAR to become, or to stay as the official chocolate of NASCAR. And Brandon Jones is back in the car. And the new Chevy. So let's just get right into it. Let's do some of the small things first. Brandon Jones back in the 19 Xfinity car for 2020. Good for him. Cassidy Pope will co-host NASCAR's awards with Rutledge Wood. Don't know who she is, but good for her. And obviously Rutledge Wood, everyone knows who that is. Chevy has a new car. If you haven't seen it, I'll be showing it over my face right now. But anyways, it looks all right. It looks pretty similar. There's obviously a couple differences. Obviously, the nose is not as pointed as this year's car. And last year's car was the ZL1. This year's is the 1LE ZL1 technicality stuff. I'm not really a genius on what all that means, but obviously you got the nose. That's the biggest difference when it comes to drafting and stuff, because we saw a couple problems with that at the big tracks when the Chevy tried to push the nose. If you hit him wrong with that nose, it's so pointed, it would just jack the car up in front of you and wreck. But the nose is definitely the biggest difference when looking at it. Not a ton of significant differences. It looks like the back half of the car, there might be a little bit of difference there around the rear tires. Or I'm just crazy and I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, on to the next thing. It was approved by NASCAR this summer to get a new body. Must do a wind tunnel test with a representative of all manufacturers present. Cool. That's all I know on that. So the big thing we're going to talk about, Tony Stewart. He is back in a NASCAR Cup car. He ran some test laps at the Circuit of the Americas track, which is down in Austin, Texas, which has hosted some IndyCar. I think it had its first IndyCar race this year, and it has been hosting F1 races since 2012. It's had some motorcycle races. They might do a 3-on-3 basketball tournament there. I don't know how that's going to work, but they've had some stuff there, mostly racing, obviously, just built this decade, so it's not super old, but it's also not like a couple years old. It's almost 8 or 9 years old, I think. But obviously, NASCAR fans want more short tracks, more road courses. Circuit of the Americas would definitely be something new. As I said earlier, we've seen F1 there. We've seen IndyCar there now. If NASCAR were to go there, it'd be interesting. I don't know what they're saying about it so far, but Tony Stewart did drive in the car, had some F1 drivers with him, I think, some of the Haas guys. But, I mean, they posted some pictures. I haven't seen any videos. I haven't heard any reports about what they're saying. Tony Stewart tweeted something out saying, well, that was fun. Took R. Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen for a ride in the 14 Mustang today around COTA. I think it's safe to say we all had a good time, so I think that's a good indicator. I mean, I think if Tony Stewart didn't like it, he would have just said nothing, unless well, he is the boss, I guess, but if someone's telling him to say something, I don't know, but if he liked it, that's good. That's good for the sport. COTA would definitely be something new for NASCAR, Circuit of the Americas. It's a new track for NASCAR. It'd be a completely different circuit. Austin, Texas, it's outside of Austin. That'd be a new location. There's only one track in Texas right now that NASCAR runs, which is Texas Motor Speedway. So that'd be a different approach. Maybe, people are talking about getting rid of the Texas dates. Maybe they could replace one with Circuit of the Americas. I don't know how that would work. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, if anything develops from this, if this test was just ended up being, okay, thank you for coming, or if it's a legit NASCAR and Circuit of the Americas people sit down and legitimately talk about hosting a NASCAR race in Austin in the future. Obviously, with a lot of things coming up in the future, the new car in 2021, the new schedules, there's a lot of new stuff and a lot of different factors that are going to play in to what happens in the future, and it's coming up really fast. This is just a couple years from now, so it'll be interesting to see if NASCAR and Circuit of the Americas pull the trigger on having a NASCAR race in Austin, Texas at this new road course. That would be a big deal, I think. That'd be a fun race to go to. It'd be an interesting one to go to. I've never been to the track. I've never watched a race there personally. So I'd have to go look at the layout of the track and stuff. It'd be interesting to see if they end up pulling it off. I hope they do. That'd be fun just to see it at least a couple times. But yeah, more road courses, more short tracks. That's what NASCAR fans want. So NASCAR's trying to get that done. It'll be fun to see what happens. It'll be fun to see if they pull the trigger on that. It'll be fun next year with the new Chevy. Hopefully it doesn't, for the Chevy thing, it doesn't affect like it has the past couple of years. Remember that first year with the Camaro? Chevy really struggled for that first half of the year. Austin Dillon won the Daytona 500. They didn't get another win till August. They were struggling. And then this year with the new aero package, they struggled at the beginning of the year. Hendrick Motorsports stepped it up a little bit with Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott winning races. Kyle Larson won a race earlier this year, a few weeks ago. So Kurt Busch has won. So they picked it up a little bit after the first quarter of the season or so. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any setbacks with Chevy, considering the last couple years they've seen a couple with changes. Hopefully they can adapt really quickly and have a really good year next year, make it a competitive year for them, and have some favorites for the championship, which they haven't had in a bit. The closest they've been to since Jimmy Johnson's championship is probably Chase Elliott. 2017, Jimmy was in the round of 8, Chase was in the round of 8, but they really didn't do anything. Chase, it was in a must-win situation. Jimmy ended up crashing at Phoenix and ending his chances. 2018, Elliott couldn't get it done. This year, Larson is below the cutoff line. Elliott's below the cutoff line. So Chevy, they need some improvement. They need some competitiveness. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And then as for M&Ms, woohoo, I love M&Ms. You've seen me eat them countless times. Whenever Kyle Busch wins, I dump them on my head. That's all. Brandon Jones. I don't know what else to say. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, leave it a big fat like. If you want to subscribe, we just cracked 400 subscribers. I got more of an announcement on that tomorrow. What else? Share. Yeah, sharing is caring.